you for being with us. This was very much 2 against 1. What did you make of the 3 leaders' opening comments?
Well, what came out of it very strongly was a clear push for a ceasefire by Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. But there was a reluctance to agree to that by Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Iran's Rouhani. Rouhani promoted the 12-point declaration that had been agreed on beforehand by officials of the 3 countries. None of us have seen this declaration yet, but Erdogan called for the word ceasefire to be inserted in point 3 of that declaration. And behind what he was saying there was basically, we don't want Damascus, backed by Russian Air Force, launching an offensive in Idlib. And Putin's answer to Recep Tayyip Erdogan was to say, well, you are right in general, but in the face of the activities of opposition drones, we have to respond. It was a very mealy-mouthed response. And then Rouhani came in and said, well, look, let's call on all terrorist groups to lay down their arms. And there seemed to be a consensus on that before they broke up for their talks behind closed doors. But you notice that when Rouhani and Putin call on the opposition to lay down their arms, or terrorist groups, as they call them, to lay down their arms, they're not agreeing to the word ceasefire, because that would imply that the Syrian government and Russia must lay down its arms, and they're not going to have that. There's a clear difference there.
And tell us more about what's at stake for Turkey in Idlib.
Well, Turkey sees Idlib as a national security issue. President Erdogan used that phrase in his introductory remarks. You know, Turkey is already hosting 3.5 million refugees. The UN has predicted that if this Russian-backed Syrian government offensive in Idlib goes ahead, another 800,000 people could flee to Turkey. That's nearly another million. The Turkish Foreign Minister, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, said earlier this week it could be not 800,000, but up to 2 million. And certainly, you know, Turkey would be unnerved by such a massive influx. In addition, Turkey has 12 observation posts in Idlib province, manned by more than 1,000 troops, supported by tanks. In his opening remarks, Erdogan was saying, you know, we feel obliged to protect the people taking refuge around our observation posts. In addition to which, experts on the conflict estimate that 25% of the estimated 10,000 hardline militants in Idlib province are foreigners, many of them from Chechnya. Now, if an offensive were to drive hundreds of thousands of people into Turkey, you can bet your bottom dollar that among them will be some of those foreign hardline militants. And he has had enough of militants' bombings, killing civilians in Turkish cities in the past few years.
Jasper Mortimer reporting there from Ankara. Thank you very much.